Welcome to the Mystic Fool's Journey podcast. I'm Anna, and this is Ruth.
Howdy!
And this is an occult history podcast. And today we're diving into the Fox sisters, and I don't know anything about this, so I'm coming in perfectly blind.
I'm so excited. This is gonna be fun. We had Madame Blavatsky fraudster last week. We're continuing the fraudster theme here again this week. I love talking about imposters and frauds. It's just kind of fun.
This is going to turn into just a fraudster podcast at some
Right?
point, huh? Well, let's dive in.
Let's do it up. So back in March 1848, two sisters, super young ladies in Hydesville, New York, pulled off what they thought was probably a hilarious prank.
Oh, good.
There's this teenager named Maggie Fox, and her younger sister is Kate. And they went around claiming that some spirit was chatting with them by knocking on walls and furniture in their house. And when their mom asked how many kids she had, the spirit supposedly rapped out the correct number. So that's kind of crazy, right?
Well, creepy.
Even one of their neighbors heard these strange sounds, and soon enough, word got out that something weird was going down at the Fox residence.
Okay. Oh, this sounds like some hilarious hijinks that are about to happen.
Truly.
It feels like it could be a sitcom. The Fox sisters.
It could be a sitcom.
And then it turns out there's actually a ghost in the house.
Right? So here's the kicker. Maggie and Katie weren't talking to spirits at all. I bet you're shocked to hear that, Anna.
So shocked.
No, they were just making these noises by cracking their knuckles, toes, and other joints.
Whoa, okay, I'm impressed simply because I can't crack my knuckles.
I can crack every knuckle. I can crack every joint. When I read this, I thought, obviously, this is the career path I should have taken.
Yeah, come on, Ruth. Where's the magic now? Come on.
Yeah. So then Maggie spilled the beans about this little prank 40 years later in 1888 to New York World Magazine. And by then, what started as like just a childhood joke had spiraled out of control. The sisters, now they're super grown up, and they're like literally famous mediums and like have sparked a social religion. And their séances and this whole spiritualism craze they ignited took the United States and Europe by storm. All based on the idea that living folks could actually talk to the dead. Isn't that wild?
Yeah, when your childhood prank goes out of control and suddenly causes a spiritual movement. Yikes.
Such a surprise spiritual movement.
Surprise! We just like shaped spiritualism for a decade or two. It's fine.
Oh, so funny. So here's the story of what went down. Exactly. Let's get into the nitty gritty. So back in like March 1848, the Fox family was having a pretty rough time. The whole month they were bothered by these loud thuds and cracks that kept jolting them awake before the crack of dawn. And by March 31st, John and Margaret Fox, the parents, had had enough of it. They were not down to clown. And they decided to send the girls, Maggie and Kate, to bed super early at 6 p.m. Just hoping to, like, get some much-needed sleep and give them a break from all, like, these nerve-wracking noises. They just wanted it to be over, so they wanted everybody to go to bed. Then when it does happen, everybody's rested up, you know?
Sure. 6 p.m. That's rough.
It truly... So, as soon as the sisters hit the hay, the cottage turned into a symphony of weird noises. Knocks, creaks, you name it, it was happening. It was like some like invisible force was playing hide and seek, following the girls around. And Margaret, convinced that there was some devilish stuff going on, sent John to round up the neighbors for backup.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Oh. Please tell me the sisters were like, you know, it's always suspicious when it's like the sisters went to bed and then the noises started. Like, is that what we're thinking happened? No?
Okay, here we go.
Oh, no.
So that night, the Fox's bedroom became a gathering spot for all the curious folks in the neighborhood, standing wide-eyed in the candlelight while the mysterious knocking continued. And one neighbor, William Duselaire, even started talking into thin air, throwing questions out there, and he would get knocking replies. But he called them like raps, like something was rapping and replying. Turns out the spirit causing the ruckus claimed to be a 31-year-old peddler who got murdered for $500 and buried under the Fox's house by a past tenant.
Okay, that's a lot of detail for just a bunch of knockings.
Isn't it? It's amazing. So nobody in the room knew who this unfortunate guy might be. And even though the Fox's son, David, had the bright idea of going through the alphabet to like let the spirit spell out words, they never asked for its name.
Oh, come on. Yeah,
right?
Like, that would have been the first place to start. At least like a last name at the very least.
Yeah,
come
then you can check like prison records or like banking statements, something.
Jeez. We'd be great ghost hunters. That's what
we would be the best ghost hunters. I think we should give it a shot.
I think that's why ghosts don't haunt us. They're like, no, they ask too many questions.
I know, right?
They want to figure it out.
It's like I swear that's the reason why aliens have never visited me. It's because I want it too bad, you know?
I think that's valid. Actually, my grandmother was similar. So my grandmother's brother, so I guess that's like my great uncle. I don't know how that works. You know, my grandmother always was very like believed in, you know, something else was out there. She didn't have like super defined beliefs about what was out there, but she like believed that people could contact you from beyond the grave type thing. And she was so pissed because when her mom died, her brother, the skeptic, is the one who like woke up in the middle of the night and was like saw his mom like in their house and you know, he was like, Mom, you're supposed to be at the hospital right now. How did you get here? And like she was like, I just want you to know that like I'm gonna be okay, like I'm gonna be fine. And it was like my grandmother, she was just like, are you kidding me? You're the one who's been telling me this shit isn't real, and Mom doesn't even come and visit me when I wanted it. Like,
that's the best story I've ever heard. That's exactly the situation over here. That's what I think. I think that like you and I should really try, because I think we should give it a shot. There's got to be something. If we try enough of these things, like if we tried astral projection, let's like try that together sometime and we'll see if we can make it happen.
We gotta do it. I keep being told by other people in my family who are more superstitious than me that this shit runs in my family. She's like, yeah, like my mom told me my great grandmother on my dad's side like had psychic abilities, but like refused to talk about them because she was spooked. And I'm like, okay, I'm here for it. It's like, look at it. Look at me. Look at what I'm doing, world. We're researching all of this. I'm here for it.
Are we just the generation that it skipped in our family lineages? That'd be so frustrating.
Mean. You're like, I'm here. I'm trying. I've got cards. I've got candles.
Literally, we're into it. We're here talking about it, trying to find the truth, but it's just like not happening. And that's like, the most frustrating part.
You know, the people who want it shouldn't get it. Just the people who don't.
Exactly. So in the weeks that followed, locals started remembering a young peddler passing through the area a few years back, but no one could pinpoint exactly when. Some even swore that David found bones and human teeth while digging under the house one summer. Jeez Louise, friggin' words. But apparently he found some bones and some human teeth digging under the house.
So someone died under there.
Somebody died under there.
Something died under there. Was it? And it was human? It was human.
Maggie and Kate are like, oh, hell yeah, we just lucked out, man. Soon enough, fantastic stories and fuzzy memories turned into a thick web of myths, giving people an intriguing alternative to plain old facts.
Great.
That's just what happens. That's just human nature, you know?
That's just, yeah. It's just like, cool. I don't, It just seems so simple when we get to look back on it in history. They're like, yeah, just do some like tricks and then you've got a cult following.
I know, truly, it really does. So fast forward a bit and word about the Hydesville haunting spread like wildfire across the state. The Fox's eldest daughter, Leah Fish, was a music teacher in Rochester, and she heard about it happening from an excited student reading a newspaper report. She didn't even hear about it from her own family.
Oh, well, that's really unfortunate.
I think that speaks a lot to the dynamics in the Fox household at the time.
Yeah, I was like, that tells me a lot right now. Ugh.
So when Leah got to the family home, they had all escaped to their like friend's house in a neighboring village to dodge the crowds wanting to meet the girls who supposedly talked to the dead.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
The paparazzi.
The paparazzi from the 1800s.
Oh, it looked very different. They didn't have cameras, so, you know, they just, I don't know, had notepads? Like, what are they expecting?
Being a looky-loo is, like, the oldest hobby in history.
basically, yeah.
But Leah, put her older sibling hat on and realized that her siblings were pulling a fast one. And Maggie and Kate spilled the beans to her. They had mastered the art of cracking their toes without anyone noticing.
Jeez. Oh, no.
And they found when, like, they did this on, like, wooden surfaces, the raps would sound like they were coming from, like, some mystical realm. I don't know if there's, like, specific wood specifications, like it only happened on oak.
Yeah, like, the wood has to be this type and it has to be, like, formed this way. Yeah. I love that, like, the older sibling is the one that came in and was like, come on, sitcom. This is a sitcom.
Literally, I know, it's a sitcom. And so then Leah, she could have been, like, furious at the deception, but she also saw an opportunity to turn things around for the Fox family.
Oh, no.
I know. With some entrepreneurial flair, Leah, Maggie, and Kate set up shop in a house in Rochester. By the way, the parents still don't know the truth of what's going on.
I love that they kept this all a secret from the parents. They're like, no, we got it. Like, sorry, they can't be in on it. We know that they'll just, like, shut it down.
Exactly. And so for a measly $1, visitors could join them for a seance. And it became an instant hit. The Fox sisters' fame as spirit mediums spread like wildfire, and they were soon performing in packed theaters across New York, New England, and beyond. It marked a shift in how people viewed the paranormal. Back in the day, claiming to talk to the dead might get you burned as a witch, but, like, turned out now in the mid-1800s, it could turn you into showbiz celebrities.
It's totally fine. We're into it now. We need some entertainment.
Exactly.
At the very least. We just need TV. Once TV came along, the ghosts went away because everyone was entertained. That's my hypothesis.
Most folks believe the Fox girls were the real deal, but Maggie in particular faced some, like, super scary situations because of their claims. One time in Troy, New York, she even dodged, like, an attempted kidnapping by a group of men offended by the sisters' show. For Maggie and Kate, it got to be, like, just a bit too much. And by November 1849, they tried to call it quits during a seance, spelling out, "We will now bid you farewell" with their toe joints.
How, I applaud them.
Right.
The fact that I'm having to remember that they're constantly just cracking their toes and fingers under a table.
I know.
To make this all happen.
Like, okay, I could pop everything in my body. But I can only do it, like, once an hour. Maybe?
That's like, still a lot.
I know, like, it's a lot, but they're doing it on command, like, constantly.
Yeah.
And both of the sisters can do it. So there's got to be some sort of, like, genetic disjointed thing running in these genes.
They've probably got some, like, weird stuff going on. Yeah, where, like, their tendons are a little loose or something like that. The ligaments don't quite work well, but,
Yeah, and so not everybody was buying what the Fox sisters were selling. Some folks called them out as frauds, and a few smarty pants even figured out that they were just popping their joints.
No.
I don't know. I feel like smarty pants is kind of a stretch here. I feel like it would be more obvious than we would think.
I would think so, but, some people, when they're so, like, caught up in the moment, that's how, like, sleight of hand works, is that it's like you are, like, doing something to get their attention one way so you can slide in and, like, pickpocket or, like, do something else with the other hand. And if you've got two sisters...
Right.
You got double the trouble. You got two people to keep a set of eyes on.
Right. And on the flip side, there were plenty of believers who thought that they were witnessing some pretty legit spiritual stuff. So before you know it, others jumped on the bandwagon, hosting their own shows claiming to be mediums, chatting it up with the dead. Classic. The Spiritualism crew didn't mess around. They were putting on paid shows that were practically like theater performances at this point. Like fancy lights, music, and seances where, like, tables would start doing a little dance.
Oh.
The Fox sisters were basically the rock stars of the scene, and there were plenty of other self-proclaimed mediums getting in on the action.
I wonder if I really wonder if other mediums, were there other real mediums in the mix, or did they all kind of, like, figure out, like, we can work this racket too? Kind of like Blavatsky doing the whole, like, secret cabinet of wonders where there was a fake backing that she could do stuff from the other room.
I mean, considering that they sparked a whole religion, I'm sure that there were some people who legitimately thought that they were mediums or had some,
something
bias towards intuition that could,
Yeah.
say some things that were somewhat true.
Mm-hmm.
But I would think that most people hopping on this bandwagon were probably just like, other fraudsters cashing in on the moment.
Aw. Man, that must be tough to be like one of the ones you're like, I really believe this. And you just like go to a convention of just mediums. They're like, so what do you use? I use my knuckles. Oh, I got a guy in the back behind the wall that knocks. Like,
Yeah, exactly. It would be frustrating.
That'd be wildly frustrating if you're one of the real ones and you're like, oh.
It really would.
Yikes.
So some stage magicians weren't having it and made it a point to expose spiritualists as fakes. Shout out to Harry Houdini for making a name in that game. He really went hard at spiritualism and fake mediums and all that sort of thing. We should do an episode on that one day, though it's not very, very esoteric, but it is a pretty crazy story. Like, basically, he had like a whole crew of dudes that like other magicians that went through to all these spirit mediums and debunked them. And my favorite one was,
whoa,
yeah, they'd all like verify whether or not these people were legit in what they were claiming. And my favorite one is at one point, like there was one person that this crew went to, and all the rest of the magicians were like, this girl's legit, like she's legit. And Harry Houdini was like, you guys are idiots. This girl's not legit. Like, why are you guys voting against me on this? Turns out the woman during the seances was given handies to all the dudes at different times.
Oh, no.
Isn't that was craziest thing you've ever heard?
It was just like, oh, yeah, I'm just jerking people off so that way they...
to, like, buy him over?
To buy him over. You're like, yep, well, that's one of the oldest forms of bribery in the books.
I know, right? Yeah, that story is actually pretty gross. Later on, we won't get into it, but it's pretty funny. Yeah. But here's the twist with this whole thing. Despite all the call-outs, people were still eating up the spiritualism vibe throughout the 1800s. It was the real deal for like a lot of folks back then. Yeah. Lilydale.
Yeah, the whole episode, there's a whole ass town dedicated to it.
Literally a whole ass town.
You can't live there.
We can't live there.
We can't live there because we're not spiritual mediums.
I know. We're not. Yet.
We're going to do it.
We will. We'll have an unlocking experience that unlocks that part of our brain for us one day.
Season 3 is us using all of the books possible to try and unlock these abilities.
Exactly. And so all of these fraudulent events kicked off the social religion of spiritualism. And the whole deal was about believing that even after somebody kicks the bucket, their awareness sticks around and can be chatted up by the living. And they called this afterlife space the spirit world. And it wasn't seen as like some dull place. No, like spirits were thought to keep evolving there. And here's the kicker. Spiritualists believe two things. One, that you could get in touch with these spirits. And two, that these spirits were like the next level up from humans, like all wise and stuff. So they figured spirits could just drop some serious knowledge bombs about moral dilemmas, ethical questions, and even spill the tea on like God's nature and stuff. And so some spiritualists even talked about like spirit guides, specific spirits you'd hit up for some spiritual advice. And guess what? Emanuel Swedenborg is like this dude. He's kind of like the OG of this whole thing. So you can look him up if you're interested.
Interesting. Yeah, I do remember reading about this where it's kind of like if you're a medium on Earth type thing, like here in this reality, but then you die, like because you've like your spirit has, I don't know, almost like evolved and unlocked powers while you were here. Like oftentimes you will then be offered the chance to be one of the spirit guides that come. That, like, talks to like after you die, you can become a spirit guide. Like it's one of those things.
Yeah, I remember you telling us about that in the past episode. That seems cool. At the same time, it's kind of like, like when you get like to a certain level in your job and you're like, man, everybody's just kind of doesn't really know what they're about. Yeah. I have a hard time believing that it's any different once you pass over in the spirit world. Like, I don't know.
Right. I'm super curious. Obviously, we won't find out till we get there. Like,
right.
Part of me is like, I feel like everything, because we are humans, always still has a very human perspective to it because we just can't like fully imagine something outside of the realm of like, oh, job titles, like, you
Right.
know, moving, like, we keep talking about, like, humans evolving, and it's like, that's just, like, another form of getting a promotion, and I feel like there's something beyond this weird, like, hierarchy that we keep trying to apply to things in the living world. There's got to be something else. It's weird.
And I'm sure myself saying all of this out loud is like just making the spirits like ticking another box on why Ruth's not going to get the opportunity to experience all this cool shit.
They're back there like, that sets you back another 6 months, Ruth. Jesus.
Exactly. So the craze for spiritualism really hit its peak from the 1840s to the 1920s, especially in like English speaking countries. It had no official text or like a formal setup, but people got into it through like magazines, tours by trance talkers, camp meetings, and the missions of like skilled mediums. And fun fact, a bunch of big name spiritualists were women. And most of them were all pretty cool about cool causes like ending slavery and getting women the right to vote.
Oh, those little chestnuts.
Categorically cool causes.
Categorically cool causes. Equality. We like it.
But by the late 1880s, things got a bit shaky. Accusations of fraud hit mediums, and the whole informal movement lost some street cred. That's when formal spiritualist organizations started popping up, and nowadays you can still find spiritualism hanging out in like denominational spiritualist churches in the US, Canada, and the UK. So there's definitely people out there keeping the spiritualist vibe alive.
Yeah, it seems to evolve. It just feels super loosey-goosey, so it's easier to evolve spiritualism over time than it is, say, like something with like a hard set doctrine and old-ass texts that you have to reference.
Yeah, it's true. I think calling it a social religion is good because it feels like spiritualism has really eked its way into, you know, a lot of other religions as well.
Oh, 100%, definitely. And it's very much like you can make it your own, and it can fit into like pretty much any kind of culture and any like, yeah, as long as you don't have like conflicting beliefs with something that's in spiritualism, it's like, yeah, you can just bring that on in, add it to the mix.
Yeah, so Anna, you got any ideas for our how we're gonna capitalize on this whole thing? Should we get a fraud going?
Well, my first thought is that we actually try to become mediums earnestly, and we'll probably figure out some tricks along the way. You know, season 3 will be us trying to contact them, and then when we get frustrated, we'll probably be like, "Oh, I figured out how to crack my knuckles."
Yeah, there we go. Well, don't forget to subscribe and leave a review. If you're a fan of the podcast, we need you to do this so we can find new fans. And so tell your friends and your spirit guides, please put in a good word with them for us so we can unlock secret knowledge.
Yeah, email us on how to contact them, please.
Yes,
please.
We
want to do it. We're the Sculler and Moldy. We're the
Sculler and Moldy.
We're the Mulder and Scully of spiritualism. Come on, talk to me. I'm here. I have so many tarot cards.
Follow us on all socials. Our handles are Sweet Death Inc. and Mystic Fool Tarot on all platforms. See you later.
Bye.